When I'm talking to people who are passionate about how they make their coffee, I get this feeling of curiosity, so I almost always have to ask them about their process. This is a video on how I brew V60, and it's for the people who have that same curiosity. These days, I like the simplicity of brewing straight into my mug. However, I use a range server when I'm feeling cute, taking photos for Instagram, or brewing for others as well. I use a plastic clear V60 as I like the look of it, and there's essentially no difference in the final coffee compared to any of the others. I like to use these white bleached filter papers as they have less of a papery taste than the brown unbleached. I create a small fold along the seam in order for the paper to sit nicely in the cone, and then start pre-rinsing while still holding the paper so it centers perfectly until the water weighs it down. I've noticed pre-rinsing makes a difference, especially if you're using unbleached papers. Beans straight from bag to hand mill, I usually use 15 grams of beans as a starting point and tweak from there as the coffee ages. 3 to 5 clicks from closed is the grind setting I like to use, again, depending on the age of the coffee. When the coffee is younger, I usually can extract more flavor out of it without ending up with an unbalanced cup, so grinding finer at 3 clicks usually works well. If I have the luxury of an electronic grinder, I will grind to a sand-like consistency. I've heard that once you start grinding with a hand mill, the resistance between the beans causes the distance of the burrs to change and therefore the grind size to be altered. Some people out there actually change the grind setting of the hand mill mid-grind to combat this. Way too much for me. Fast and loose is my approach, but kind of not really in this case. While grinding, I reboil the water so it sits about 100 degrees before I pour it into my open top gooseneck kettle. I figure it will lose a couple of degrees pretty quickly once the water touches the metal kettle. As soon as the coffee touches the wet paper, I start pouring as the coffee is oxidizing by the second. I roughly pour about 50 grams of water to agitate it and completely wet all the grounds. Wait about 30 seconds for the carbon dioxide gas to bubble through the coffee. This particular coffee is a couple months old, so there's not much bubbling going on today. When I brew larger doses of coffee, it actually warrants dirtying a spoon to agitate and wet all the grounds. If I don't, there can be dry clumps of coffee left. Round circular motions are the way I pour, not touching the edges but not in the center either. I usually pour about 100 grams of water at a time before stopping to agitate lightly. The agitation flattens the coffee bed and combats my very average pouring technique. You will probably see the flat coffee bed at the end, which hopefully ensured a more even extraction, which is what we're going for. I'm not sure if this is frowned upon in the coffee community, but it seems to work for me at home so I can get a more consistent cup. I usually go for a total brew weight of 250 grams, but vary it as per the age of the coffee and honestly how much coffee I want to drink that morning. There you go, you can see that flat bed of coffee. Now straight over to the bin while still holding the mug to avoid any spillage. I then rinse the V60 while the coffee cools and enjoy while staring into the distance, wondering what I could have done differently.